All
Hello?
right. Yeah. Hey.
All right, sounds good, man. Let's get this sucker started.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to a podcast of rare antiquities. Today, this is going to be a special off the cuff show as we are going to dive into the premiere episode of Star Trek Picard, episode season 1, episode 1. This is Harry.
And this is Jeff.
Jeff, here we are. Star Trek Picard. It has started. What are your?
Hmm.
We're gonna just before we do anything, because it's a live show, our first live show ever. Obviously, this is going to be all spoilers for anyone who potentially may be listening. So be warned that there are going to be spoilers. We're going to try and do this fast within 20 minutes and just stop. So, Jeff, the timer's already started. What are your first thoughts? Shoot.
Yeah, I think as like as an episode of like modern, uh, sort of big budget TV, I'd give it like if I had to rank it, I'd give it like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. But as an episode of holy shit, Jean-Luc Picard, I give it a 12 out of 5.
I might have a similar ranking. I was enthralled. I mean, right off the bat, the first scene, I was just loving
Mm.
seeing Data and Picard together, and you see the first shot of the Enterprise there. A huge smile on my face. I love all that stuff. But I mean, I think
Oh
there's
man,
oh
yeah.
yeah. Just tell me about that. It hits you right away with the feels and the nostalgia. Thought. What do you think?
Seeing the Enterprise D again, like in four glorious 4K. Oh, oh, that was it's only like one shot, couple seconds, but yeah, that was great to see. And yeah, seeing the two of them there, I mean, obviously you can tell it's like a dream sequence kind of right off the bat. But even as sort of wonky as Brent Spiner looks, in the makeup there and the wig, he still he still sounded like Data. He came off like Data, so that was pretty cool to see the two. I wasn't sure how long it was going to be before we'd see the two together on screen. So it was nice that they opened the series that way. It was yeah.
Oh yeah, no, fantastic. I was grinning ear to ear. It's something I needed to see, and I think this is going to be, hopefully something fascinating. I hope they don't overplay it moving
Yeah.
forward, but I do think it's going to. Obviously, everything with Data is going to impact Picard's motivations moving forward. I'm sure we're going to talk about it very quickly here, but I agree with you. Loved all of these scenes. Data, I mean, Spiner looks a little thick in the face, but yeah, I looked a little off. But I mean, be that as it may, he looked like he stepped right back into the shoes of playing Data without missing a beat, and I loved all of it. Same thing with Patrick Stewart here playing Picard. So I just want to get right into a couple of the big ticket items here. So we're not going to do a plot synopsis. So obviously, um, Picard's reeling from the impacts of Star Trek '09's, um, where Spock was trying to save Romulus and it still blew up. And there's a big impact from that. So the Romulans are now scattered everywhere, and there's an impact. Starfleet, I guess, was agreeing to help them and then didn't help them because synthetics attacked the Federation Utopian Planitia shipyards. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the kind of the only plot question I had. So I don't know if you watched the Short Treks
No.
episode. So the last Short Trek episode was, I mean, it didn't show a lot of the attack on the Utopia Planitia shipyards on Mars, but that was the backdrop of that episode. So so I kind of knew that like leading into it that was going to be part of this. But so I guess what we have to assume is that like did Starfleet feel like their resources were spread too thin when they were helping the Romulans, and therefore that opened up Starfleet to an attack like really close to home, and then they're like, okay, well, we don't need any more of this Romulan stuff because like I had trouble drawing that the connection between the two, like why they withdrew from the Romulan rescue effort because of the attack on one. Like it was an attack on one planet in one system, and it's not like there weren't lots of casualties, but when you have like a federation that has thousands of worlds and hundreds of billions of people, like I don't know, it just I had trouble with the connection. That was kind of like my biggest gripe with the episode.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is something, it's a bit of a stretch. And then we also have to say is, what about the rest of the Federation? I mean, it's not just
Mm.
Starfleet that's part of the Federation. So where's everyone else? And I know we are an Earth, we are from Earth, and we only care about the beings from Earth and Starfleet itself. But it was a bit of a stretch for me to accept that. And I don't know where this synthetic thing is going on. I just hope it doesn't get messy. And there's a risk of it getting messy here. But let's move on. How about Data and the revelation about Dodge being a synthetic or an android from the future that was built by somebody. I mean, I love the name drop of Maddox there
Hmm.
from TNG, but she is now a future android, correct? Who has some of Data's positronic remains. I'm a little
Well,
confused here. I only watched it once, so I
no,
don't know.
she's not from the future, if that's what you're saying. She's
No,
not
no,
from
not
the
from the,
future.
not from, but she's current in Picard. The show's
Right.
timeline. But
That's
I'm
right.
just saying, like,
Yeah.
what's the relation with her and Data outside of the dream sequence and saying that's a daughter? Like, she has some element of Noonien Soong's or Data's positronic net. I'm a little confused there.
Yeah, they right because he goes to see Dr. Allison Pill at the Daystrom Institute, and she says that nobody, like without the positronic network technology, which is present only in Data and Lore, they can't recreate like that sentient android, right? So these synthetics, I don't. But that being said, like then who are the rogue synthetics if they don't have the ability to create sentient androids? Who are they? And her intimation was that because of the painting, as well, like Picard thinks that some part of Data is a part of her, right? How that can be, I I don't know. I mean, Maddox disappeared, so he's
He's
presumably
gonna
part of it.
he's gonna be the Luke Skywalker of the show.
Yeah, he's gonna be and about as old too, if not older,
Yeah.
right? Because we haven't seen Maddox since Measure of a Man.
Is it not Measure? Yeah, he was name dropped throughout the
Yeah,
show, but yeah,
he was name
it's
dropped. I
Measure.
think one
Yeah.
other time on the show on Data's Day, they name dropped him. But we never
Okay.
saw him again. Right?
Well, look
So
at you. You could, geez, you know your episodes. Great, good for you.
I know some of them anyway. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually just been we've been watching a bunch of Next Gen leading up here. So um,
I did watch one
yeah,
episode in preparation for this
just
for
you
this
felt
show.
one episode was preparation enough.
I did not have time. I was doing the Star Wars
No.
thing with the kids, so I watched
What
one before.
what what
I don't
what did
want
you watch?
I don't want to tell you in case you don't know. It could potentially be a spoiler.
Uh,
I heard of something
okay.
and leads to something, and if I say it, you're going to guess, and I don't want to ruin that for you.
I appreciate that. We can talk about that after it's happened.
That's right.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so well, I guess then, what did you think of Daj here?
I liked her. Thought she was good. Like I thought the actress. I'd never seen her before. I don't think she's been in much, if anything. But I thought she was really good. You know, she had a certain presence, a certain level of intensity, and she had some chemistry with Patrick Stewart. And then they blew her up. So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
because she was in the trailers, right? So I'm like, okay, she's going to be a piece of this whole thing. And then that Romulan did like spit some alien blood on her, and she just exploded hardcore.
yeah, I was a little confused on what happened there. It was like, is he the predator? He's got like acid. He spits out acid and
Well,
melts the
if
gun,
you
and
watch,
then
yeah, he if you watch, like you can see he like it's like a poison pill. Like he bites down on something and deliberately spews, the acid in her face. I mean, obviously it kills him, but he does it on purpose. But yeah, he has like a weapon. like a weaponized pill in his mouth that he
But
uses to blow it
yeah,
up. Yeah.
that's right. I mean, that was a little of a iffy scene, but I mean, I'm more interested in how this show is kicking off instead of the details, and I think that's fair. It's one
Yeah.
episode in. I
Yeah.
don't want to have too many gripes and be too hard on everything. What about the? Let's just talk about some of the themes here. Star Trek's known for talking about making some allegories to social events and political idealisms of the time, and all of that good stuff here. We only have 10 minutes left. Why don't we delve into that? Where do you think this show is going to hang its coat or wear its hat here?
Yeah. Tough call there. I mean, obviously, we're going to get into some AI stuff, which is fine because that's been talked about a lot in our culture the last few years, like the sort of the looming threat of AI. I actually hope they don't go too far down that road because as of right now, that's not like a very prescient threat, right? Like that's not an existential issue right now. But what I hope that they actually get into, and I assume this is partially what drew Patrick Stewart back to the series, is this idea of, I mean, the Romulans are refugees, and it might not so much be a refugee issue, but an issue of how do we deal with the people that we have seen maybe as our enemy, or at least not as the same as us. How are we going to deal with them when they need our help? I think there's plenty of allegories in today's world for that type of situation.
Oh,
So,
100%. And I agree.
yeah,
And I think the interview was there to already kind of tell us what this is about, because the interviewer keeps talking about Romulans and Romulan lives, and he goes, no, lives.
lives,
Yeah,
right?
they are equal to all of us. So
Hmm.
I agree with you. I think that's going to be part of the uh, the thread that's going to be explored, at least in maybe the first few episodes here, or something that's going to be a backdrop to what's going on. I agree. Obviously, I think synthetics and AI and his relationship with data is going to play very. It's going to be a heavy play very heavily into what's going to happen moving forward. I guess I can. I'm sure you've seen the previews when they were kind of
Hmm.
advertising Picard, and we know
Hmm.
already he's going to go to Starfleet, ask for probably some help or do something along those lines. He's going to get shown out the door. He won't be thrown out the
Yeah.
door, but he'll be shown out the door because they don't want him to break his hip. But
No.
I think this is going to also speak. He left Starfleet, and which is shocking. I mean, he should have listened to Kirk, but he didn't listen to Kirk. But I guess you reach a certain age, don't let them transfer you.
Yeah.
Don't let them do
Don't let them
anything. They
promote
say,
you.
yeah, don't let them
Yeah,
transfer
but
you.
he, like he said, right? It's like it's not Starfleet anymore. So
So he left. So it looks like he didn't get
yeah,
shown the door. He left, and
that's
so I
right. He
think
left.
that's going to be again still a mistake. He shouldn't have left because then he still could have helped. But be that as it may, he's left, and so now it's going to be about our own government and poor leadership, selfish reasoning. It's not, we have unsympathetic government institutions who are not in it for the betterment of the world, but just the betterment of a state, or not even a state or a country. It's just serving the few instead of the large populace here,
Hmm.
or the
Yeah.
greater scheme of the galaxy or the universe when we're talking about Star Trek. So I think that's
Hmm.
going to be prevalent moving forward here. That's a statement. I think that's one of the probably the items that drew Patrick Stewart back into the fold here.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? You think that's going to play? That's going to be a message here
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah. I think it looks pretty clear that that's going to be a message moving forward. Which again is why it sounds like he resigned. Is like if we're not, if we're not true, like you have to you have to be true to those ideals, even when it's not convenient, even when it's it seems like maybe sets you back a step. Like, as if you don't stand for those things, and you don't stand for if you don't stand for those things when it's not convenient, then you don't actually stand for those things, and that's why he left. So if that's not a big theme of the show, I mean, I can't imagine what even the point would be. So if you're gonna
Hmm.
do, if you're gonna suggest that Starfleet abandon its responsibilities, that the Federation abandon its principles, I mean, that's a bold claim in Star Trek to suggest that would
Yeah.
even be possible. But if you're doing it, obviously a guy like Picard's like, I'm not having a piece of this. I'm out
No,
of
and
here.
I love that, and I wouldn't. I
Yeah.
would. I'm if I'm Starfleet or in a position of leadership like that, even in today's society, and I try and live by that in my daily life as much as possible with whatever minute power I do have. Even just myself, my moral compass. So
Hmm.
I expect that from Picard, and I enjoy that. It seems the spirit of his character is remaining intact, and that's
Hmm.
a happy, good sign, first sign in this first show and
Yeah.
episode here.
Yeah.
But I guess let's just take one more minute. So, how do you feel about that message that Starfleet itself, this was an optimistic institution for us to hope for as humanity,
Hmm.
and it wasn't just about human evolution, but now we have a government and it's not a military institution. It's not meant to be. But now it looks like its name's going to be dragged through the mud a little bit more maybe in the same vein, or maybe even worse than what Deep Space Nine explored with respect to that.
Hmm.
So, what's your first thought process there? Quickly, don't spend too much time. Do you think this is a good thing to explore, or does it ruin Star Trek's sense of optimism?
I think there's a fine line that they're dancing there, but because I, I, 10 years ago, maybe I would have been like, I don't think that's a great idea. I think it's what we need now. It's like, if Star Trek is going to Star Trek needs to tell the stories that matter, and so right now we need to shine a light on those concepts. And so if what it takes to do that is to say, this is what happens when our institutions fail us. This is what happens when our idols fail us, and this is what we need to do about it. Then yeah, I'm all for it, and I'm sure I'm sure it'll be. I mean, I'm hopeful that he'll be able to restore it. Like, that's got to be the thrust of it, right? Is to restore that hope and
I hope so. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I really do. I do hope so. All right. Well, we're 2 minutes left here, Jeff. So just give me your. Okay, we got to talk about just the last shot here. So we do realize
yeah,
that Dodge died. I can't remember the twins' name. I'm a little confused on why there had to be twins. The concept I got to make a synthetic. It's
yeah,
only twins seems a little dicey there, but it's just a reason for the same actor to continue in a dual
yeah.
role. Um, but be that as it may, what did you think of that final shot? Looks like it was a Romulan detainment center, or what was a relocation center?
Reclamation set.
Reclamation site,
Yes.
and it's a Borg cube. So what do
Yeah.
you think of that final shot there? And are,
Questions. Questions. Questions.
yes, questions. I mean, you're eager to continue.
Yeah.
That's
Good
a nice little
cliffhanger.
zinger. Good
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Yeah, you want to see what happens next. But again, are we dancing another fine line here? Are we? Is it going to make things a little messy?
Well, I
You
guess
know, being
the
able
thing
to get a
is
Borg cube, this is not that far into the future. We don't really know what happens to the Borg beyond first contact there. And I'm not
right.
including Voyager's, whatever happened there with Voyager. Let's just leave that off the table. But to have a Borg cube and being able to use it in that fashion, and I guess we'll see more what happens. But is that, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I can't disagree with you, but we also can't discount what happened in Voyager, because they won't. Like, we know that they won't discount what happened in Voyager, because we know
So then
709 is going to be
essentially,
on
then
the show.
okay, but then does that mean the Borg are done? It's over?
Not necessarily, no, but they can't. They're not going to discount Voyager. Is all I'm saying, right? And
Okay.
it's not like Voyager destroyed the Borg. They just kind of crippled their ability to travel anywhere through the galaxy. I think that's kind of what happened in the finale there, right? They destroyed not to get too nerdy on anybody here, but that's what happened is they destroyed their transwarp network. So, but not the Borg themselves. Again, we know 709 is going to be around, but I think think of it this way, okay? I don't know if this is Star Trek canon, but I think in like the prequel comics to Star Trek '09, like the Nero's ship was based on Borg technology that the Romulans had recovered.
Oh,
You
that's
have
right. Yeah.
right.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
There's
Okay.
also a
You're right.
connection between some of the Borg and lore. We know
That's right.
we know Hugh. We know Hugh is a character on this show at
Okay,
some
so I didn't.
point.
Okay, so since you know that, that's the episode I watched. Was
Okay,
Iborg.
yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew he was a
Okay.
player. So if we're talking about synthetic life forms, refugees, Romulans, Borg, like they seem to be disparate, but they do have connective tissue. So maybe it'll be like one of those really good heist movies where you got all this shit going on and then everything like sort of like gets tied in together at towards the end. So that was sort of the feeling that I got. It was like, why all these different things? I'm like, okay, well because I know Star Trek so well, I know exactly what all the connective tissue here is.
Hmm.
So presuming the people who are making the show know that too, we'll see what they do with it.
Hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's looking forward to it. Just a little worried. I just hope it doesn't get convoluted. Oh, we have
Mm-hmm.
this board. We have this cube because.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Here it is because.
there's no.
So.
I mean, it's not unprecedented to have, like when we first met Hugh, there was the wreckage of that small Borg scout ship. So it's not like crazy to, imagine that there's Borg technology out there that, for whatever reason, is able to be salvaged. Like it's not insane. So, for me, it's not so much the question of like, how is it possible? It's like, what are they doing with it?
Hmm. Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, and I think we'll get more into that as the episodes go on. So that's
Yeah.
the end of the episode here. So Jeff, just quick final thoughts. We're just 2 minutes over what we thought we would end it at for 20 minutes. We're at 22 minutes here and counting. Give me your quick final thoughts here to wrap this up. What did you think of the first ever episode of Star Trek Picard?
I liked it. Thought it was good. I mean, it had its problems with it, but they were little nitpicky things. I think that it sure looks different. I watched some episodes of Next Gen, and it's a hugely different era for TV. It's a different look, but it's also very cinematic. So, it's a good thing that we had 4 TNG movies. I think that helps this not look quite so jarring. I mean, it's been so long, but yeah, yeah, I'm in, baby.
No, I'm in too, and I was very happy with just seeing Picard be Picard. You can already see that he is the kind soul, even though he puts up a front. He wants to be all proper and distant to certain people, but he's going to do the right thing when the time
Mhm.
calls. And I just like that. I don't need a man of action. I need a man of conscious and who has a
Mhm.
great moral compass that you can inspire to better yourself. And that was really what Star Trek was all about.
Mhm.
And I'm looking forward to that message continuing. And just beyond that, I liked what I saw. I agree with you. It's a very modern look, the way it's shot. That can be a bit jarring. I was a little jarred, especially with the action scenes, especially on the rooftop there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I did enjoy most of everything here, and I'm very much looking forward to the next episode. And because it's a TV show and it makes you want to watch the next one, I think that's a success. So
Yeah,
good for
100%.
good for the good for the first show, and looking forward to the next one. So Jeff, hopefully we continue this. I guess this was an experiment. See if
Mhm.
we want to do episode, a review episode by episode, and maybe we'll bring on other guests. But we don't want to. We'll make it quick and dirty, just like we did today.
That's how I like it, baby. Quick and dirty. Just
All
like a
right, man.
McDonald's cheeseburger, man. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you next time, buddy.
All right, buddy. Next time.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.